So in the previous class, we were discussing on a chapter from economics, that is meaning and types of economy. So in that we discussed the meaning of economy. So an economy may be described as a man-made organization for the satisfaction of human wants. Then we also discussed the features of economy. Then we were discussing on the different classifications. So classification based on ownership, in that we completed capitalist economic system. So what is capitalist economic system? So in a capitalist economic system, the means of production are owned by the individuals and they are free to use them in any way that benefits them. So we also discussed the features of capitalist economic system. So usually uh, there is always scope for private property. The people enjoy freedom of enterprise. So consumers sovereignty, profit motive will be there. So all that we understood. So today let us take socialist economic system. So socialist economy, it is the opposite of capitalist economy. So in capitalist economy, what you observe in capitalist economy, uh, production means of production are owned by the individuals and they are free to use them. But here in socialist economy, productive resources are owned and controlled by the government to promote overall interest of the society. So that kind of society is called a socialist economy, when productive resources are owned and controlled by the government only, and there is no scope for any individuals to own or control the productive resources. So such society will be called a socialist economy. So we can give example of the countries China and Russia. They have socialist economy. In this type of economy, a central planning agency will be there. That central planning agency plans and regulates various economic activities in the interest of the people of the country. So that central planning agency plans the different economic activities to be conducted, to be carried in that particular country. So here interest of the society will be considered. So productive resources, whatever the resources in the nation, are owned and controlled by the government. So let us understand the features of socialist economy. So here you will find collective ownership of means of production and wealth. In capitalist economy, it was the individuals who enjoy the right to own property or resources. But in socialist economy, all the resources belong to all the people, but nobody owns it. Everybody can use all the resources, but all the resources belong to the government. The government hold the resources on behalf of the people. So here there is no concept of private property, no existence of private property, and accumulation of property can be seen here. So in a socialist economy, the government owns the means of production on behalf of the people. So all wealth is collectively owned by whom? All wealth is collectively owned by the government. No single person owns anything in socialist economy. All property belongs to the government. It holds collectively for the benefit of the people only. Then second feature what you observe is social welfare objective. Here, as I told you, the government owns a property, but the government acts on behalf of all the people to maximize their welfare. Here, the motto of the government is to give maximum benefit to the people. And as you see, there is no chance for people to own property, and the government only owns all the resources. Here, there is no competition of making money or making property here, because everything belongs to the government, and definitely all the resources belong to every single individual in the in such nations. So government decides about the type and level of output and the distribution of the same, keeping in view the broader social welfare of the people. Here, the social welfare of the people is the motto behind the uh, motto of the government. The next feature what you observe is central planning. So central planning will be there. As I told you, there will be a central planning agency to plan and regulate various economic activities. So identification of national priorities and allocation of resources to meet them is done through economic planning. For this purpose, a central planning authority is created which keeps the national priorities and availability of resources in mind and allocates resources. So that that central planning agency will decide regarding the allocation of resources. So all economic decisions regarding production, consumption and investment are made by the government. In capitalist economy, it is made by the individual enterprises. So, but here in socialist economy, all economic decisions regarding production, it may be regarding consumption or even investment, it is made by the government. But while taking such decisions, it has to keep in mind the present and future ends of the people. So here in such economy, there is no scope for market and prices, because here there is no choice for any enterprises. There is no competition also. It is the government who which decides the production process. It decides the consumption choices regarding consumption, and also it decides investment. So here there is no scope for market and prices. They have very little role to play in the socialist economies. So next one is reduction in inequalities. Uh, when if you see in capitalist economy, all individuals are free. They can set up their own enterprises, they can start their own business, they can earn how much ever they want, they can acquire property, they can acquire wealth. But there is no scope for acquisition of property or wealth in socialist economy. So there is no choice or chance for people to acquire property. There is no question of inequalities, because all will be in the same cadre. So no existence of private property and accumulation. It reduces economic inequality in a socialist economy. So all are equal, all have same economic status in the society. So then there is no class conflict in capitalist economy. What you see, there are richest people, there are rich people, there are middle class people. But in socialist economy, all belong to the same cadre, because there is no class conflict, because there is no choice or chance for people to own property or accumulate wealth. Here, all are co-workers. In socialist society, all are co-workers, and there is only the working class. Hence, there is no class conflict, because everything belongs to the government, and uh, all the people are working in the government sector, so all are workers. Nobody owns anything in socialist economy, but in capitalist economy, uh, almost almost all the enterprises are private enterprises, and they can uh, uh, they are the owners, and other peoples can work in such enterprises. So there will be classes like owners, workers, like this. But in socialist economy there is no class conflict, as all are co-workers in socialist economy. So, socialism, which was a prominent idealism after the Second World War and embraced by countries like Russia, China, and many Eastern European countries. So, I have already given you the examples, Russia and China, and other many Eastern European countries. But the wave of liberalization since the 1990s has made almost all these countries to allow private sector to participate extensively in economic activities. As we discussed in capitalist economy, it is very difficult at present situation, um, uh, uh, any economy without government intervention. So pure capitalist economy you will not find at present. In the same way, even socialist economy, you cannot find a pure socialist economy, because due to liberalization, um, almost all the countries have allowed private sector to participate extensively in economic activities. So now you understood about the socialist economy. At the end of this video, I have asked you a question in assignment part. Write the differences between socialist and capitalist economy. How you will write? Very simple. The features of capitalist economy, if you compare the features of capitalist economy with socialist economy, so if you just compare both the features, you will get the answers, the differences between socialist and capitalist economy. So use these slides even in your textbooks headings. You can refer and you can write the answer for that. So features of socialist and capitalist economy. When you compare both, you will get the answer for differences between capitalist and socialist economy. Next, we'll move on to mixed economy. So mixed, you already know, it is a mix. It is a combination of two or more um, objects. So here mixed economy, as the name itself suggests, mixed economy has a combination of elements of both capitalism and socialism. As you already know, a pure capitalism or pure socialism is very rare, and you will not find pure or capitalism or socialism. Mixed economy has a combination of elements of both capitalism and socialism, because government intervention is also necessary or needed, and at the same time private ownership is also needed. Uh, Completely government involvement is also difficult, and completely properties are owned by the uh, private person, like how what you observe in capitalism. Both are extreme. So, a mixed economy has a combination of elements of both capitalism and socialism. So, it is an economic system where the public and private sectors coexist. So, you will find in a mixed economy, you will find public sectors uh, as well as private sectors, coexistence of both public enterprises and also private owned enterprises. There will be some public enterprises, public that means government owned companies, industries, like that. And in private, in the same country, you will find some private owned enterprises. So we will discuss in that very soon. So India is a best example for having mixed economy. So you'll find mixed economy in our country. So in this slide you can observe. So capitalism, it is completely private sector. Socialism, it is completely public sector. Here the government plays a major role, and capitalism, here the people are free, and private sector is completely individuals. So combination of the capitalism and socialism is mixed economy, where private and public sectors play vital role, both government at the same time private owned enterprises or industries. They play a major role in mixed economy. Hope you understood this concept. So combination of capitalism and socialism, certain features of capitalism, certain features of socialism will be observed in mixed economy. Okay. So what are the features of mixed economy? As I already told you, coexistence of public and private sectors. You will find certain public enterprises and certain private sectors. But here, uh, public, that means government intervention or government owned companies will be uh, a majority of the industries or enterprises are owned by the government. So here individual freedom, here uh, like in capitalism, individuals are free, even they can set up or even they can start up their own business or firms. So individuals enjoy certain freedom. So but economic planning, so planning mechanism is used by the government to prepare development plans and decide the roles to be played by the private and public sectors in the development of the economy. So economic planning mechanism will be there, where the government decides about the role played by the private and at the same time public sectors in the development of the economy. Then price mechanisms in socialist economy, there is very little scope for market and price mechanism. In capitalist economy, there is very good scope for market and price uh, mechanism. So even in mixed economy, the government policies influence the prices significantly in a mixed economy. There are administered prices for public sector units, and the government provides price subsidies to help the weaker sections. Here, uh, the government has to consider the weakest section are the poor people, and it has to uplift them. So it certain times it gives subsidized prices to the weaker section. Then if we understand the Indian economy, you will definitely understand better mixed economy. Indian economy is a classic example of a mixed economy. Let us understand India as a mixed economy. So in our country, both public and private sectors operating within the planning and regulatory framework of the government. What are the features of Indian mixed economic system? So in Indian economic system, you will observe coexistence of public and private sectors. Okay, industrial policies of 1948 and 1956 formulated by the Indian government made the provision for coexistence of the public and private sectors with a larger role of public sector. So larger role will definitely be public sector. So major shares uh, share in the economic system will be of public sector. So usually basic and heavy industries were under the public sector. However, with the liberation of Indian economy since 1990s, the scope of private sector has further widened. Now, to understand better, you can see government schools at the same time private schools. So in socialist economy, they have only government schools, but in a mixed economy like us, we have both government schools and private schools. If you wish to go for private schools, you can go. If you cannot afford, or if you wish to go only to the government schools, even you can go to government schools. So this is an example. Just even in hospitals, there are government hospitals. At the same time, we have private hospitals. So the role played by private and public, both are combined here. So next is planned development. So 5-year plans were prepared within the framework of the directive principles of state policy to rebuild economy and lay foundations of industrial and scientific progress. The Planning Commission was set up in 1950 to prepare plans for all-round development of the country and people. So we have Planning Commission. So what is the objective of this? To uh, prepare plans for all-round development of the country and people. The Planning Commission has so far prepared and implemented 12 5-year plans and many annual plans. In 2015, the planning has been replaced by NITI, that is NITI, National Institution for Transforming India, Ayog. So, what are the objectives of Indian plans? So, economic growth, modernization, self-reliance, social justice, elimination of poverty, creation of conditions of near full employment and satisfaction of basic needs like food, clothing, shelter, education, health, etc. So, government plans for economic growth and upliftment of people from poverty and provide them basic amenities. So, these are the main objectives of the economic, uh, I mean, planning, Indian economic planning. So, these are the uh, features. So we understood the coexistence of public and private sectors, planned development, then role of public sector. The public sector has played an important role in the development of Indian economy. So it increased the pace of economic growth and reduced disparities of income and wealth. See, if we have only private sectors, it is very difficult for many children, many poor children to join because they have to pay fees. So the weaker section or the poor people definitely can opt government schools because government provides them free education. So that's why even there are so many government hospitals where people can get free medical assistance. Like that, public sector definitely helps the poor and weaker section of the society, and by that it reduces the disparities of income and wealth. So it has prominently contributed to development of infrastructure. So public sector has developed infrastructure, you know, the good roads. Now our country is developing, so now we have good roads almost all parts of our nation, and still we are trying to give good infrastructure. The government is trying to give good infrastructure. So it may be electricity, it may be water facility, it may be sanitation. Who is carrying all these? It is the government, isn't it? So it may be good roads. So because of public sector enterprises or because of the government enterprises, we have good infrastructure. So development of infrastructure has achieved. Then establishment of basic and heavy industries. So usually basic and heavy industries are under the public sector. Then disparate industries in several backward regions. See, if the if we give only importance to private sector, they will set up wherever they want their enterprises or firms. But the government will look into all the regions, and even the backward regions will also get the chance to develop. Then promoting trading and marketing activities, including international trade. Then what is the role played with the private sector? So it is not only the government but also the private sectors play a vital role in mixed economy. Uh, it includes the private sectors include agriculture, industries, trade, and great deal of activities in housing and construction activities as well. It provides employment to three-fourths of our manpower. See, only the government cannot give employment opportunities. If that is the case, many of us would not have been employed. So there are many private enterprises, firms, industries who are uh, giving employment opportunities to three-fourths of the nation's manpower. So many policies and laws have been enacted to control the private sectors. Though private sectors are free, but still the control is in the hands of the government. uh, still the people have the power to frame laws. So on behalf of us, our elected representatives definitely frame policies and laws, even we control the private sector. So then coordination between public and private sectors. So you will find coordination between government and the private sectors or public and private sectors. So both the private and public sectors have worked together for achieving the goals set by the Planning Commission. However, today, the role of public sector is declining and more space is provided to the private sector. So you can definitely observe privatization. So almost all sectors you'll find private owned firms, industries, and private sector is uh, getting, I mean, a role of public sector is declining and more importance our scope is given to private sectors. So this is all about the features of Indian mixed economy. So here in this slide you can observe public sector enterprises in India. So you can see Bharat Petroleum, BHEL, then uh, HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. So these are all ONGC. These are all the Indian Oil, HP. These are all the public sector enterprises in India which are owned and controlled by the government. Then private enterprises. So you are, I think there are many firms you are already familiar. Axis Bank, HDFC, ICICI Bank. These are all the banks. Then Reliance. So you'll see various kinds of firms, then Sony, HP, Google, Amazon, Apple, IBM, Coca-Cola, Nestle. So these are all the private enterprises. There are many more private enterprises. You can also make a list of all those enterprises. Then the classification based on level of development. As I told you, economies can be classified in various ways. So we discussed based on ownership, we discussed socialist, capitalist, and mixed economy. So economies also can be classified into developed economy, developing economy. So developed economies, what are the features? Usually developed countries have higher national income and per capita income, high savings and investment. Therefore, they have high rate of capital formation. They are developed. They have good savings. They have good national income. People per capita income is also high. So there is more money or capital formation in such countries. So they usually have highly trained human resources. They have better civic facilities, good health and sanitation facilities, because as they have good national income, such nation can definitely give more importance to human resources. They can be they give more importance to their upliftment of their skills. Then they give better civic facilities, good roads, transportation facilities, water facilities, all that you'll find here. They have good health and sanitation facilities. In such countries, low birth rate and death rate can be observed. So because they have good medical assistance, uh, death rate is always less, and all of them are educated, so definitely they have low birth rate. Then they possess well developed industrial and social infrastructure. Then people have high standard of living. In developed economy you'll find high standard of living. They give more importance to uh, comforts, so they live high standard of living. So in this slide you can see the infrastructure in developed economy. See the good roads and the facilities they have. So developing economy, developing countries are low on the ladder of development. They are also called underdeveloped, backward or poor countries. The national income and per capita income in such countries is definitely low, and they have backward agricultural industrial sectors with low savings, investment and capital formation. Here uh, per capita income, national income is low. When they do not have proper capital formation, definitely they cannot invest on either agricultural, industrial sectors. So low savings, investment and capital formation can be observed. The people have poor health and sanitation, high infant mortality, high birth rate and death rates, and poor infrastructure. You will find in developing country infrastructure is poor, and you will observe high birth and death rate. Birth rate is also high because of lack of education, and death rate is also high, that is because of lack of medical assistance. Here the people have poor standard of living. Okay, so these are the features you find in developing economy. So you can just see in this slide. So still these nations are developing. So developing nations, still constructions are going on. They are trying to develop and give infrastructure to the people. So this is all about the lesson. I have completed the lesson meaning and types of economy. Here is an assignment for you. Write the differences between developed and developing countries. You can refer the slides and you can write, or even you can refer the textbook. Make a list of developed and developing countries. You have to find out which are the developed countries and which are the developing countries, and make a list. 10, if you write 10 developed and 10 developing countries, that's enough. Then write the differences between socialist and capitalist economy. I have already told you how you should find the answer and write. So write all this in your class work itself. Thank you.